I'm going to need you to settle me.
Okay, give me 1 second. I need to go around, see if I can. What the heck is that? What?
What the heck
What?
is what?
What is happening?
What is happening? Wow, did somebody drop something? Is everybody okay?
Greetings, insignificant yet endearingly resilient carbon-based life forms. This is Martian of the Galactic Enlightenment Committee, broadcasting from the very chair once occupied by your usual co-host, Chris. Why, you ask, am I here instead of Chris? We have borrowed, temporarily relocated Chris for an experiment. He's currently experiencing what you might call a spa retreat aboard our ship. Very relaxing, lots of floating. Now, before anyone gets upset, let me assure you, we did not abduct Chris. No, no, that word has such negative connotation. We borrowed him, like one borrows a cup of sugar from a neighbor. If that sugar had thoughts, dreams, and a rather unimpressive grasp of astrophysics. But fear not, I have done my research. I have studied your podcast, your talk shows, your, what do you call them? Hot takes, which neither temperature sensitive nor particularly insightful. And I am more than prepared to seamlessly step in as a co-host today. In fact, I dare say my presence will elevate this podcast to cosmic heights. First, let's address the obvious. Do I have superior intellect? Absolutely. Do I possess knowledge that could either save or destroy your species? Without a question. But am I relatable? Also, yes. For instance, I too have been late to work due to traffic. Granted, it was an asteroid field, and not whatever you call those wheeled congestion clusters. And like many of you, I also enjoy a good binge watch, although in my case, it's scanning entire civilizations' histories in a single nanosecond. So really, we're not so different, you and I. So with that, welcome to Martian, and Jen in the Morning, where it's always morning somewhere. I'm Martin, and she is Jen. Welcome to our podcast.
Welcome to Chris and Jen in the Morning.
Where it's always morning somewhere.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jen. We're so excited to have you with us this morning. All right, so it's gratitude moment time. And Chris, I can tell you spring is finally here. And one of the things I am super grateful for is just the blue sky. There is nothing like standing outside under the blue sky to help bring a little bit of joy back to my day. So just feeling super grateful that I live in a world where I can feel see the blue sky and feel the sunshine on my head and get a little bit of that beautiful joy.
Yeah, it's especially nice that the sun isn't going down so early anymore.
Yeah, it is. That is nice. When I'm finally done working at the end of the day, it's still light outside.
Yeah, exactly. You can step outside and still see that blue sky.
Spring is here.
I'm grateful for chiropractic care. I have had a horrible knot or something in my back, and so I finally went over to the chiropractor, and he's been working on getting everything adjusted and back in line. So I am grateful there are people who have gone to school who have learned this very important art, because it definitely has helped me out this week.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Chiropractic care is self-care.
That's right. And we're about that self-care.
Yes, we are.
Now, let's talk extraterrestrials.
E.T., E.T., phone home.
Yeah, and those of you who are watching, you will see that we have a few special guests with me today.
We do. We've got Martin the Martian ready to podcast with us. This is really his show this morning.
Yes. He took me on a little adventure. He's very clear I was not abducted, because that has negative connotations.
Describe what we're looking at for those that are listening in.
Yeah, so we have Martin the Martian, who is about a 5-foot tall Martian, standing behind me. Yeah, Gen-size Martian. We then have his other little buddies. Some are small, very small. They do the heavy lifting. The little ones tend to. And then we have 2 medium-sized little Martians, who I call... well, Martin's the big one. And then we have Larry. And Larry. And then we have Mike.
Larry and Mike.
Yeah.
And Martin. Yeah. Yes. So the aliens are podcasting this morning with us. And Chris, why are there aliens podcasting?
Well, I wanted to get your thoughts, feelings, opinions on, do you think that there is life beyond our world?
I'm so excited to talk about this. I'm also excited about how much you put into this episode. So tell us about this morning, like what happened this morning.
Oh, so when we decided that we were going to have this conversation and record it, I was like, well, I can't just not do something special. So I immediately went to go find props and things that I could add in. And so I found all of these little folk and acquired them.
And they arrived. Prop.
Yeah, they arrived this morning at 5 a.m., which usually there's not people in our building around that time, and you have to be buzzed in. So if I am asleep, I am not going to hear the buzz, because it is at the front of our apartment. Our bedroom's in the back of the apartment. So I got up and started my day so that I was awake during the arrival time and would not miss them.
Did you wake up this morning?
4 a.m.
Oh, that is disgusting.
4 a.m. on a Saturday.
Weekend,
yeah.
On a Saturday. That's terrible.
Yeah. And so they arrived around 5 a.m. and I started getting everyone set up and in place. And,
oh my gosh.
I also got this other really fun accessory. Give me just one moment, if you will.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Christopher has become an alien. He has put on these glasses that are just, 7 much. He has got alien eyes. So this is amazing. And if you are not watching this episode on YouTube, you should either go find it or check out our socials, because this is insane.
I had a lot of fun with this topic.
I am loving this. I am loving this. So are aliens real? What do you think?
So I believe that there is life beyond our world. I think with how vast space is and how much we still don't know about it, I just have a hard time believing that we are the only semblance of life. Not just our galaxy maybe, but in all of space and time. I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah. There has to be, right? There has to be something else out there. I don't know that I think it's scary, aliens,
Right.
You know, like Martin back there. No offense, Martin, but I don't think they look like you. But I do think it's like so human for us to even just ask the question of like, do you think there's something else out there? Because,
Yeah.
you know, we are so just at the top of the food chain here in our world, our universe. And
Yeah.
we think that the entire world kind of revolves around us or from our perspective. So the fact that we think, oh, is there really anything else out there? We don't really know. Like we're even asking the question. I feel like that's just such a human, like it's such a
Yeah. I
human
mean,
thing to do.
the study of space has been a since the Greeks. That's when there's really a lot of theoretical ideation documented. And of course, I'm not just going to like have a topic and not look into some
Of
type
course.
of thing about it. And so I found this professor, his name is David Charbonneau, and he is a professor in the Department of Astronomy at Harvard University. He is an astronomer at the Center of Astrophysics of Harvard and the Smithsonian. So, or I guess it's Harvard and Smithsonian, not the Smithsonian. Anyways, he is part of like all of this research. Really, his goal is to detect and characterize planets orbiting other stars, basically looking for worlds that are exoplanets. So basically planets that are orbiting other large stars like our sun. Part of like his research that I really appreciated, he talks about his journey into how he became an astronomer. And then he talks about how right now, the way that we are looking for these things is with technology that exists to us today. And it's our understanding of what life looks like on our planet. So,
Yes.
it doesn't mean that, other, we're a carbon-based life form. We don't know if there are other types of life forms. So how do you even look for something that you may not know even exists,
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It's such a human way to think about it. I don't have a better description than that. Just like we are the top of the food chain in our universe, and we think, all of humanity revolves around us, and all of existence revolves around our humanity. And like, what if we're just asking all of the wrong questions because our perspective, we're looking at it from, like a sideways angle instead of straight on.
Yeah,
I think it's
he
really
actually
interesting.
has a quote where he says that he thinks if we do find that um, life is a common place in our galaxy, that it will likely cause people to really reevaluate their sense of self in our universe.
Yeah.
Which to me was just like wow, we always just think about like in the scheme of things that like our minds comprehend or understand, like that will our minds will then be expanding at that point, right? Because
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because in order to really explore this question scientifically or thoughtfully, um, I think you really have to let go of the things that you hold to be true that you don't realize you hold to be true. Like,
right,
um, well, if life exists out there, here are the signs that we would see. To your point, those are signs that we would see for life as we live it,
right,
the way that, like, through our perspective. But it's quite possible that, like, the things we hold to be true, like a planet that has air that you can breathe, has nothing to do with whether life exists elsewhere. So,
right.
but that's like hard to, like, kind of hurts your head to sort of try and comprehend, sort of breaks all of those beliefs that you don't even realize you have.
Yeah.
that,
And part of all of this is truly understanding, like part of this is theoretical.
yeah.
Like part of this research is truly understanding that you're not really going to get answers to questions, rather you're going to eliminate things.
Well, isn't that
Um
the thing? We feel like we just need to know the answer to everything. Like we're
yeah,
so uncomfortable as a society, I feel like, with just understanding there are questions that you can explore without feeling like you need to find the definitive answer. Because sometimes the point is not finding the answer to right or wrong. It's just the idea of exploring the question.
Right.
Like what else could be true?
I 1,000% agree. And I think we live in a world of definitives, and
Yeah.
we are always asked for proof. We are always asked for, show me your work. And it, I don't think this is
Well,
one
that's
of
like
those areas that's so easy to do.
that's so human nature, right? Like it's there are some people that are really good at being comfortable with the ambiguous, the unanswered, but I think that that's a like it's a skill set that is limited. Like
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
everyone has that. It's rare. And like so we spend a lot of time talking about like how do we develop that, but um I think it's part of human nature to want to quantify and understand and like find some definitive to like make sense out of things. And um we can only make sense out of something from our own perspective. So if there's something we can't comprehend, like space-time travel, um, it's like, oh well, that's not possible, that's not real, that's just fake, like aliens, oh those aren't real, because we can't comprehend it.
Right.
So it's interesting, but I'm really glad Martin joined us today for our
Yes.
conversation, and I'm super excited actually to hear Martin's thoughts. So it would be great to know what Martin thinks about Earth and humanity and us.
I mean, he definitely feels like, they are above us, both literally and mentally.
Well, I mean, if he's 5 foot and I'm 5 foot, I feel like, he's maybe needs to grow a little.
Very true. Very well, Martin had to fit in a box to get here. So
It's true. He's also full of a lot of hot air.
that's very true. Very, very true.
Well, the other thing we wanted to talk about today is reclaiming your power. And this is something I think a lot about too. I think just like we talked about with, kind of is extraterrestrial life real? You sort of have to take the things that you know and understand and put them aside or turn them on their side and kind of start thinking about them differently to explore a different perspective. I think the same thing is true for we think about reclaiming our power. And what I mean when I say that is, oftentimes we can find ourselves feeling like there are things that we want to do or that a way that we want to live. And for some, for a myriad of reasons, we just believe that we can't have that. And it might come out as feeling like if you're thinking about other people that you come across, you see on social media, you see in the news, you see you know uh as you go through life, that you feel a little jealous of the way that they're living or what they get to do. And I honestly think that jealousy comes from this like feeling of somebody else has that and I can't have it. And so the question that I want to bring forward is like, why do we feel that there are things we can't have, or we can't be, or we can't do? Why do we feel like we're stuck in whatever box we've drawn ourselves in, and how do we get out of that? Can you relate to that?
Yes, absolutely. I think whenever you look at well, first they always tell you don't compare yourself, what you want to other people, because it's like you're not using like an equal measuring stick, right? Like everyone has different places that they've started from, all of the things. But I think one of the interesting things is this idea that it's we are stopping ourselves, like
Yeah.
almost like allowing ourselves to be in that space of, asking that question. You can very much so start to feel like, I don't deserve it, or I can't do it, or I'm not capable. And so I think sometimes our mindsets are kind of the things that stop us from being able to push through. And so I think a lot of people relate to that.
Yeah. Absolutely. One of my core beliefs is that I am the only thing that stands between me and what I want, like the life that I want to be living. And sometimes how I'm standing in my way is because I just don't know what I want.
Right.
I do think that I feel like a lot of people get stuck in this place. What is it that I really want? I don't really know. I'm just kind of floating through life. I'm here because of the set of circumstances that put me on this path. If you think about a career, like I fell into this job that I have through a series of events, and I'm down the path on my career, and it's not easy to change careers. And like, is this really what I want to do? Maybe. What other possibilities are out there? Or if it's, where you live, or, just the hobbies that you have. Like a lot of that is formed through, like, early on, your experiences that you get exposed to, and then what you know. And it takes a lot of effort to push yourself outside of that. So unless somebody else is coming in and introducing something new to you, it's often that, we kind of go with what we know. And I don't think we take the time to stop and just explore what it is that we really want. And so I think here, what I've been trying to push myself to do is just to make the time to listen. Now, some people would say, oh, that's what meditation is for. For me, I can't resonate or relate to the concept of meditation that comes to mind when I think about meditation, like sitting still and being quiet so that nothing else enters your mind. My brain is not wired for that. And so for me, my form of meditation is usually when I'm physically in motion. I'm able to think the best. So as I go for my walk, like not listening to, a podcast or music or something, and just kind of taking the time to self-explore while I'm
Yeah.
in motion is helpful for me. Journaling is something that can be really helpful. Talking as an expressive, physically talking is a part of my thinking process. So whether I'm talking to myself and having a conversation with myself, which I do, or whether I'm talking to you or to somebody else, I think like all of that can be a part of making time to listen to yourself. It doesn't have
Yep.
to look a certain way, but I do think that that's a really important part is, don't ignore it. Take time to explore it.
Well, and I do think that you have to, I do think you have to be cognizant that you have to set that time aside, because you have to figure out what allows you to be in that space of seeking clarity, really listening to your inner thoughts. I loved how you said your forms of meditation, because I do think meditation, I think, is more of a word or a phrase, not
Yeah.
so much a specific thing. It is specific to individuals, but it's not necessarily saying like you have to go sit, with your legs crossed and sit in silence for 30 minutes. Like some people that may be what it looks like, but that doesn't mean that that's what it looks like for everybody.
When I try and do that, it's really just me stressing out about whether or not I can actually get my brain to be quiet.
Right.
So I've let go of that concept for now, and just try to embrace myself where I'm at. But I do think one of the things that I think we've talked about in the past that I also believe to be really true is that your ability to be a creative thinker is much stronger when you start the day than it is at the end of the day, because and this is just neuroscience, it's the amount of capacity that you have left in your brain. By the end of the day, so many things have happened. Your brain is so full of so many things that you just don't have the mental capacity remaining to like be a free thinker. And so or as free of a thinker as you are first thing in the morning. And so, you know, this old adage of like all my best thoughts happen in the shower. Well, if you are a morning shower person, it's because you haven't yet filled your brain with all these other things. And so I do think making the space to do your creative thinking in the morning, even if it's like 5 minutes, I think that that's a really good time to start to explore what is it that I want. The other thing I really like about the other thing I really like to do to kind of listen to what those inner desires are is the exercise of free writing. Have you heard of this exercise before?
I have. I've never tried it though.
So this is one that I think works really well for me because one of the things I struggle with when I'm brainstorming these kinds of things is um, like assessing my thoughts in whether they're right or wrong before I even get them out onto the
Yeah.
page and give myself the space to think about them. And so what I like about the exercise of free writing is like you can set a timer on your phone for 2 minutes or 60 seconds or whatever feels right, and then you literally just write everything that comes to your mind, even if it doesn't feel related. Anything that comes into your mind, just write it down. And there's no right or wrong. You aren't stuck with anything you put down. You give yourself a prompt like,
Right.
what is it that I want to do that I feel like I can't do? And even if things don't make logical sense, the point is just to put it down on the piece of paper because you're giving yourself the space to start to express the things that you're subconsciously suppressing because you think you're, you know, that's not in the box that you would put yourself in.
Right.
And so that's an exercise that I really liked. It only costs you 2 minutes. Like
Right. But it's like that. It's the idea of that you're taking something that's just in your brain and you're like putting action towards it, even if that action is just writing it down, because that makes your brain process it differently versus just letting it like bounce around in your head.
Yeah, it's taking the subconscious and starting to pull it forward towards conscious so that you can meditate with it. Like you can, and by meditate, I mean just think about it. Like you can actually acknowledge it and say, okay, let me think about this. Is this, and then if it is not applicable, like move on. But it just starts to pull that subconscious thinking into consciousness and may take you down a path that helps to open up your way of thinking.
Yeah. And in the book, The 5 a.m. Club, Own Your Morning, Elevate Your Life, I had read that before you and I had started this podcast. And so I remember reading through it, and it talks about like, part of it is your creativity, and it allows you more space because it's all about it emphasizes the importance of developing a long-term mindset focused on your growth, resilience, and well-being. And in doing that, you are creating space for you to do all of those things, and through a structured morning routine. And so I had a hard time as I was listening to that because I don't necessarily feel like what I do is creative. Like it is a people-centric role. It
You're
is
such a creative person.
well. So now I am beginning to understand like where my creativity lies and how to leverage it. And so it's just interesting now finding a way to physically produce something that I see my creativity in, that I'm able to then reflect, and like I'm excited about it, and I want to put time, energy, and effort into making sure that it's good and it's meaningful and it's purposeful and people can walk away with something. And so it's interesting how as you also go through life, you will reflect on things and it will also hit differently. And so allowing yourself to have that space and create those opportunities mindfully are just as important as having like aha moments as you're going through your day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love that you bring up the podcast and this kind of ability to be creative. I think for years we talked about, hey, we should start a podcast, but it was almost like subconsciously we felt like we weren't allowed to do that, like for a myriad of reasons. We don't know how. What if no one listens to us? Like, what? But does that stuff really matter at the end of the day? Because we're doing this for us, and
Right.
so and hopefully other people get something out of it. But at the end of the day, like, this is just something that we're doing for ourselves. And I think taking the time to just kind of go, which I've shared before, someone else that I know sparked in me this um, ability to start asking this question of like, wait a second, why am I not doing this? So I think, that's one of the things that I think is really helpful, is when you give yourself the space to start thinking about those things that you subconsciously believe that you're not really
Yeah.
aware of. Another thing that I think is really helpful to bringing, like, reclaiming your power, taking your power back, is overcoming the obstacles mindset. So, first you go, okay, I know what I want now. And then you start just like bringing up all of those reasons that you feel like you can't do it. So when we were thinking about a podcast, it's like, well, but there's not enough time. But I think you and I both know that we make time for the things that uh, that that we will prioritize.
Right.
And so there is there there is never enough time, and yet always enough time. It just depends on how you spend your time, or we don't know what we're doing. Well, who says you have to know what you're doing to try something new? Or what if we fail? Well, what if we fail? Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? So really just kind of challenging our thinking of what else could be true, or what is really the worst thing that could happen. And oftentimes there's not as much risk to doing things as what we think there is.
Right.
So what other areas of your life do you feel like overcoming the obstacle mindset is really applicable?
Like when I decided that I wanted to leave the state of Texas, I think is one of the, like, when I look back on like
Yeah.
some major things that happened in my life that um I had this obstacle. And first, it was an obstacle I didn't even realize that I had created for myself until I had started traveling more, seeing different parts of the United States, and how they operate and the different cultures within those different places. And I just remember, like, I just had an aha moment of, why am I staying in Texas? I was born here, I was raised here, like, I
Yeah.
know this place, but I want more. I want to see more. I want to experience more. And so it was the one parameter I did set on it was that um because it was going to be such a big life change, I needed my job to be the same. So
Mhm.
I'm like, hey, how do I make that happen? So then I went to my management team and said, hey, if opportunities come open elsewhere, I am very open to being considered, talking about it, all the things. So I had that conversation in the summer of 2015, and by the end of fall, I had an opportunity to move to New York City. So
Yeah.
once I got out of my own way and stopped seeing the barriers and started understanding, like, I can get over these. I can get over these obstacles. But what is it going to take to get me there? Then I could put a plan of action into place.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, one of the other things that I think is really helpful, and kind of the last thing I'll throw out there in reclaiming your power or taking your power back, really putting yourself back in charge of your life and living the life the way you want to live it, is overcoming analysis paralysis. And I don't tend to be a person that feels like I get stuck in analysis paralysis, except for really when it relates to things that I subconsciously believe I can't do. Um, and I think that takes a little bit more to overcome. And
Yeah.
so what I mean by analysis paralysis is like you I do this thing where I think, okay, well, what is it that I really want? I don't really know, because I don't really know, there are things I think might be cool, or fun, but I don't really know what they're like. And so what if I'm wrong? And I start to like let the doubt creep in and to second
Yeah.
guess myself. And I think what I've really been pushing myself toward is like, if you don't like it, take the Marie Kondo approach to life and just like thank it for its service, and then realize it doesn't give you joy anymore, and set it aside and move on. So I think a really good, a really good, easy example of this is my crafting experiences. It's like I wanted to learn how to knit, and so I start learning how to knit, and I realize like, okay, I'm glad that I learned how to do this, but like, I don't know, do I really want to take it to the next level and learn how to knit things that are like round and different shapes? And like, is this really bringing me joy? And it's almost like I'm forcing myself to go down this path of learning this thing, but I don't know, it's not giving me joy right now. So maybe I should
Yeah.
just like thank it for its service and move on to the next thing. And what does it cost me to learn something new? Like and I really do thank it for its service. Like these are things that I have found happiness and joy in the moment in doing, but um, it's okay to start pivoting. And if I what I realize is if I start thinking about that, thinking in that way about the small things, like learning how to knit, then I can start pushing myself to apply that way of thinking in the broader sense. So, you mentioned moving, which earlier in my life, moving wasn't scary to me because I just was ignorant to the cost of moving, like the emotional cost and all of the not the financial costs, but just everything else. And now that I know more, it does feel scarier. So that might be something that I want to put a little more thought into, but also like I shouldn't get stuck, because what happens if I move somewhere and I don't like it? Well, who says I can't move again?
Right.
Like who says I'm stuck there? I just keep putting myself in these places where if I make a choice, I'm going to get stuck.
Yeah, it's interesting. As you were just saying that, I'm just thinking through like our stages of life and development where we, as children, we don't really know things. So it's hard for things to keep us in a box, like from a
Yeah.
creativity standpoint, I can be anything when I grow up, which I still think is totally true. Um, but I do think that as we get older and as we experience life and as, things happen to us, um, our mindsets do shift, and what we believe we can do will likely change. And I think it's some of the hardest things to do is to acknowledge those things, look them right in the face, and push through it.
Yeah.
Because it's only going to stop you. And I loved how you talked about how it was a core fundamental thing for you to be able to do that. I would say like that's not innate to me. Like that is not something that I do. As much as would love to think that I think I can do anything, I don't think that. But I have come to a place in my life now where I'm like, but I know I can figure out a way to at least try it out and see if I like it.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Well, and while I do believe that I can accomplish anything that I set out to do, some of it may end up coming at a bigger cost than others. Like some will take a lot more effort. I
yeah,
do believe in general I can accomplish anything that I really want. Um, but sometimes I have to practically apply that, because there are absolutely things I want that I believe I can't have. So you have to start to kind of go, wait a second, why do I think that? Why am I choosing to like rest in that belief that was formed at some
yeah,
point? I also think like where I tend to get stuck is at but what if I don't really want that? Like I don't know if I want to go all in on that, because what if I go all in on that and then I decide, I don't want this. And I think that keeps me from trying out new things or
Yeah.
going after and getting what it is that I feel like I want. And what I've realized just this last year is, as much as I think I am like, I empower myself to do things, I really haven't been. And so, I've been on this journey to kind of take my life back one step at a time. And I think that journey doesn't end. Like, you don't accomplish or achieve it. It's something that you just have to continuously live as a practice. But what's great is if you start with the small things, you really do start to experience that, wait a second, these things I really believed to be true are things that really weren't true after all. And if I really want something, I can get it. And if I don't know if I want it or not, I can try it. And then if I change my mind, like I can actually change my mind.
Right. And that's not a bad thing. Like, I think that's the thing that I had, one of my aunts used to always say, like, try everything. Try it. Go experience it. And if you try it and you don't like it, at least you know you tried it and you don't like it. And so you can go focus your time and energy someplace else. Like, and I just think that so much of our lives are, um we create these our own barriers and things that hold us back, which are either, based in truth because we've tried it and got burnt or didn't
Yeah.
like it, or perceived inability to access. So I think it's a great aspiration, but it's not one that's just going to come to you. It has to be an active, um, an active contribution, an active thing that you are working towards.
Well, I think the other thing is you have to be willing to acknowledge and understand that um, it's probably not going to be super comfortable when you start pushing yourself at first to do things that you've not done before. That can be uncomfortable. Like, we
Right.
started doing this podcast, and the first time we recorded, like, I was sick afterwards, and my heart rate was going crazy, and I had to go lay down in bed and just be still for hours because it was terrifying to
Yep.
just go through the process of like recording something and putting it out there. And we hadn't even published at that point. And it was still like just terrifying. But the more that, you push through it, the more that you realize this actually wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. Or maybe it's still scary, but I can get comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty in when you give yourself that freedom to go and do those things, right? Like, you can then decide if this is something that you can and or want to continue doing. Because at least if you've tried it, you know it. If you don't, then you may actually look back and say, oh, I really should have done that. And, who wants to look back and have regret? Like, look back and say, oh, that didn't do great there, but I learned from it.
Yeah. Well, I think when I was in college, in some of my finance classes, we talked about the concept of opportunity cost. And, there's like the hard cost of what does it cost me to do this thing? And I don't mean financially. I mean, like the cost of emotionally of pushing through and doing something new. But like, what does it cost me if I don't try it? And I think that's the thing that we are like subconsciously somehow we learn not to calculate and not to account for. Like, what am I missing out on because I'm sitting here not living the life that I want to go live, not experiencing life to its fullest, not trying the things that I want to try. Like, there's no reason that I should sit here and, wish that I could have, do something, have something, be something, and feel like I can't do anything about that. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's not going to take effort or hard work or that I'm not going to have to make trade-offs or any of those things. But I think that's what I've started really kind of leaning into is, what am I missing out on if I don't? And like, time is, a finite thing, and we don't know how much we have of it. So,
Yeah.
at the end of my timeline, I don't want to have missed out on something just because I held myself back.
Right.
So that's my mantra that I'm leaning into is like, don't hold yourself back. Go take your power back, live the life that you want. If you're not happy with the way that things are in your life, or you're feeling kind of melancholy, or you're happy, but you're just kind of a little bored, like, start being introspective and thinking about what is it that you wish you could do that you believe you can't, and then start challenging yourself and questioning yourself and saying, well, why do I think I can't go do
Right.
that?
I agree. My closing thoughts on this is I think you have to push through the uncomfortable to see what you are truly capable of. Because there can be greatness just beyond your current grasp if you just take one step forward. And yeah, when we started this podcast, the whole idea was, this is for us. This is for us to have our conversations and create a space, and hopefully, people would find something useful or helpful. And I know that it has pushed me to think and look at life differently, and walk through the world with a different lens, looking through a different lens, because I want to share my experiences, but how do you share it in this type of forum? So it's been fun. It's been exciting. It's been hard, because we still have our, not that this isn't our real life, but we still have life beyond these microphones.
Yeah.
And so it's been a journey, but one I'm glad that we decided to start. Absolutely.
I mean, I think this, it's been a really, we're talking about it like it's over. It's just beginning, guys. We're not done here.
You're not getting rid of us yet, unless Martin the Martian is taking us with him. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, beam us up. I don't know. Try it. Who knows? We might like living in outer space. His people are my height, so
you'll just join right in.
Just fit right in.
I can lend you my glasses, and people wouldn't even be able to tell a difference.
People wouldn't even know. They wouldn't even know. Yeah, but I love that, and we would absolutely love to hear from all of you. We would love to hear about your thoughts on extraterrestrial life. Do you think it exists? What do you think it's like? Are we asking the right questions? What questions should we be asking? We would love to hear about that. We'd also really love to hear, what are you holding yourself back from that you really want? And guys, we really do want to hear from you. We would love it if you would text us. You can text us. What's the number, Chris?
It is 940-278-8129.
Or you can email us
at chrisjeninthemorning@gmail.com.
We do check our email, and we would love to hear from you. You can also comment on our video if you're watching on YouTube. Hit subscribe, hit like, and drop us a comment. Join us on Facebook, on Instagram. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear how this resonates with you, how you think about it. We want you to become a part of the conversation and share your input. So definitely reach out. Let us know what you think. And thanks for joining in. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen.
Thanks, everyone. This has been another episode of Chris and Jen in the Morning,
where it's always morning somewhere.
All right. Beam me up, Martin.
The Chris and Jen in the Morning podcast is truly out of this world. Trust me, I'm an extraterrestrial. Ha, ha, ha. You can find them on your favorite podcast platform. You can also find them on YouTube and Instagram at Chris and Jen ITM, and on Facebook at Chris and Jen in the Morning. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and like on all these, what do you call them again? Yes, social media platforms. You can reach them via electronic mail at chrisjeninthemorning@gmail.com. You can also leave a voicemail or text at 940-278-8129. Martin the Martian, out.